back for episode 3, Spartacus, House of Ashur. So let's tap right into it. The name of this episode is called Unworthy, and that will be a theme throughout. It's already been a theme throughout the first two episodes, but it's really going to be a theme in this episode. So the episode opens up with a heated exchange between Doctori and Ashur. And of course, what is it about? It's about worth. And Doctori is actually telling Ashur that Achilles is worthy. Out of all the gladiators, she was the only one to leave a mark on his face. Also, at the same time, Ashur has some business that he needs attended to, and he needs Doctori, a chorus, to handle it for him. So at the same time, Ashur is asking his Doctori to prove your worth. The For the first time, the gladiators are seeing Ashur come down to the square, and he is personally coming down there to train Achilles and really see. He's trying to get a return on his investments. So Tarkon says a really interesting line. Does the honor of our house not stand above all else? Because obviously the gladiators, all of them feel a certain way because there's a woman in their presence. There were women gladiators during that time, but I'm pretty sure they did not train amongst the men. Again, breaking from tradition, Asher sends Doctori out on a mission, so Seldis took over as Doctori for the day. Uh, Hilaria, one of Asher's women, she's very protective over Asher, and she took it upon herself in the last episode to go see Achilles herself, and she brought that up. And Asher let it be known. He let it be known very clearly that she is absolutely forbidden to go down to the Ludus, even under protection. He's spent years down there, so he knows how unsafe it could be. But she did mention to him that the scars on Achilles' hands may be the key to finding out what's going on with her because he needs to know. He needs to know what's going on with her. What is sparking? What is behind Achilles' motivation? He also does her a service changing changing her style, by changing her fighting style. He changed his style to Darren Karis. And if you're a true Spartacus fan, you know that's the style of Gannicus, the style of Spartacus. So you know what's interesting? Another character that's in it. She reminds me of the Lucretias of old, Cassidia. She is a cunning Roman woman, and listen, her tongue is just as sharp as the sword. And I thought that she just had like a personal vendetta against Asher, and that's not the case at all because this woman cuts down every single person. Her tongue is just as sharp as a sword. So she sees Chorus, Doctori, out about by himself, and they exchange words, and he's actually going to the pits. And when Asher comes down there to train Achilles himself, he really presses her about what's going on, like why are you failing, why do you feel, along to go the theme of the episode, why do you feel unworthy? Hey, what's going on to everybody that just tapped into? Shout out to y'all. So during this time, Apater is also in the pits. Apater sees Chorus and he broaches him to have drinks. But oh, excuse me. But before I get to this, Chorus actually sees an old friend, Thaddeus, and they're broke. He's saying, let's have a drink. Obviously, Thaddeus is clearly on bad times. So he sees Chorus sees that he's begging, and he's just like, nah, I'm good. Like I don't really want to associate with that. You know what I'm saying? So then once Optimus sees him, they break words and things like that. And Optimus is clearly looking to get a new Dectory in his house. That's why he's in the pits betting on games. So those two break words, and Doctori lets him know that he's there to search for Anubis and looks for grain. And then Opidus lets him know, I was meeting with Anubis this morning, and so he does not have grain. Let's break to my house, have drink. Let's discuss matters further. So after that, they cut to a scene which is a really interesting scene. It's Gabinius and and, and Cassetta, and they are having conversations again about worth, status, uh, Viridia, Crassus, Pompey. And what's interesting is in the last episode when Ashur saw Viridia, you can clearly see the sparks between those two. Those two instantly, just the love was spewing out of them. It was coming from from their pores. Something that Gabinius and Cressida both noticed. And when Gabinius broached the subject, Cassidia did not like the thought of the Syrian possibly slithering his snake into a worthy daughter. But she is still heart-stricken because her husband lost his life to. He went out to fight against Spartacus, and we know how usually that ended for the Romans. So we cut back to the Ludus and Arado. He has just a lot to say. He really does not respect the fact that there is a woman training amongst them. So much so that he presses the stand inductory for that day, and he gets his ass whooped. And what I do like about this is that we find a little history about Saldus. He tells him who he is and how he's beaten. He beat somebody named Magnetius. Now, if you're a true fan of Spartacus, back to the guys of the arena, Magnetius was a champion from the house of Batiatus back in the day, and he defeated him. So they cut back to Oppius, uh, who clearly wants Ductori to be his Ductori, and he may want him to be his lover and Ductori. But as can you say hi, please? Hey, what's going on? Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Thank you for taking the time to watch my live. This is the Spartacus House of Ashur podcast that I'm tapped in to. So shout out to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. Thank you everybody out there that's watching. I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? So what we end up finding out, which is really dope, is excuse me, let's backpedal a little bit. Um, Doctori is at the house of Opiter, and before he leaves, Opiter just basically he straight out says, would you be Doctori under my house? And Chorus says, I'm loyal. He said I can't just do that, and he actually asks for position, which Opiter was confused by. And he says, why would I give you position and favor that would not favor me and favor the Syrian? And Doctoria lets him know that men train under me. It's under the house of Ashur, but I am the Doctori of the Ludus. So the men are a reflection of me. And if you see a reflection of me in the arena, then you can see how I work, and you can see if I will be a good fit to be your next Doctori. There was a really interesting message. It cuts back to Cosidia, and there is a message, and it's meant for Gabinius. And she takes the message, she reads it, and she says, I'll handle it personally. Then she burns the message. You know what I'm saying? So we want to see where that heads to. Earlier on in the episode, one of Ashur's women, Hilaria, who was very protective of Ashur, really she voiced her opinion, and Ashur let her know very quickly that you do not stand position of wife, I do not stand position of husband, so know your role. And Messia, one of Ashur's body slaves, was speaking to Hilaria and letting her know that he can be harsh, but you can say harsh things with a taste of honey. So basically, it's not what you say; it's how you say it. So you can say things to somebody mean. You can still be purposeful with your intent without being harsh. And what I love about this is Ashur is still the same person. He's still devious and all that. This is just Ashur under different circumstances. And and you can see that he didn't really, I'm not going to say regretted talking to her like that, but you can see that it bothered him knowing that it bothered her. So he goes back down there and he presses Achilles. He presses Achilles to, why are you failing? Why are you failing? And she finally fucking reveals purpose. So she feels unworthy because her family got taken away by another tribe. They don't really go too deep into the backstory. I pray that we do see more of Achilles' backstory in flashbacks, but they showed just somebody being taken away, and it seemed like Achilles was really helpless to the situation. So she wears that burden. And ironically, that burden was kind of like a shield. And now that she's training in Diamond Karis, she's been unburdened of that shield. And even though Ashur still, when they're training together, he still, because his swordmanship is way above hers. Even though he still beats her down, he respects her. And Doctori had told him earlier that she is worthy. So at the end, he does the oath with Achilles. And the men asks, one of the men asks, is she not to do the proper ritual at the games? And he said he did already. She did something that none of you could do, and that's leave a mark on Doctori's face. And plus, that's one of his biggest investments. So she takes the oath. And right as she's taking an oath, Croesus comes back, beat up from the fight that he had when he left Opidus' house. He probably slaughtered like 6 guys out there. And before I'm wrapping up, but I want to go back to this one point in the episode. There is a scene where Hilaria and Messia are, you know, they're with Ashur, and Hilaria is kissing and about to start making love, and then Messia um, attempts to interject, and Hilaria, shoos her away. And I say all that to say is just that I love that this show has so many plates spinning. At the Gabinius and Cassidia. You have Cassidia's true intentions. Then you have Opidus's attention. Then there's so many plates spinning. This just show is so sharp. It's so smart. I love it. So what we come to find out at the end is that it that Croas Doctori wasn't in the pits by accident. That wasn't just a chance encounter. That it was intentional for him to meet up with Opidus to set up these plays of events. So he knows that he wanted him to be his Doctori, and he leaned into it. And Ashur, you know, seeing the state of his Doctori, let it be known that it will be paid back in blood. So once again, this is another just fire episode. I love Spartacus. It's all killer, no filler. Every scene, every fight, every conversation is plot driven and character driven. You know, so there is nothing. There's not a wasted scene. There is no filler episodes of Spartacus, and they continue the same thing in the House of Ashur. And I'm looking forward to seeing what it brings up next strong. And you can catch me here next Saturday or Sunday going over the episode. And I'm going to turn this into a podcast going. But for right now, we're here on the YouTube. Shout out to you for everybody that tapped in, that's watching this live. Go watch the House of Ashur. And I'm going to go ahead and speak this into the universe because this is prophecy. When Spartacus originally ended about 13, 14 years ago, I said, if the gods seen it fit and this show ever came back for some reason, somehow, that I will fully commit myself back into acting. And guys and gentlemen, I am a man, men and ladies, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. I'm a man of my word. I got some headshots. About to start auditioning again. And hey, who knows? If the Spartacus universe continues, maybe you might see me and out there one day. I guess I got to travel out to New Zealand, but you never know. You have to speak these things into existence, and that's actually one of the things that Vashti Whitfield, the wife of Andy, the original Spartacus, told me to speak things into existence and keep working on that. So with that being said, peace, love, and light, family, and I catch you next strong for episode 4 of the House of Ashur.